Welcome to the American Forked Podcast. We are back after a COVID hiatus.
Oh, it was a hiatus, and I feel forked after.
Yeah. Jeff didn't even get sick.
Nope.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. I didn't even, get diarrhea. Is that part of it?
Not even anything.
Is that part of it?
So you think you really did have COVID before?
Oh, I think so, but apparently that doesn't mean anything. So,
Well, it does. If you get COVID, then you never get it again. Unless you're in a rare circumstance.
all right, Dr. Phil.
You do,
All right.
right?
Unless you're Mike's sister.
Yeah. Jake looks like COVID right now. He's here on his 10th day. And at first he's like, I don't have any symptoms. I'm so cool. And then it came down, didn't it, Jake?
If they had a COVID bond that you could buy, you would be the poster child.
All right.
Buy your bonds right now for COVID.
It doesn't make any sense.
Help boys like this
Yeah. So how you feeling right now?
not look like they have jaundice. So my taste is gone.
It's still gone.
Yeah, which sucks because it's been like you described it as like a metallic taste.
Yeah.
Stacy, my wife, also described it as kind of metallic, but for me, it's been like it's really weird. It's like a burnt, vinegary barbecue sauce with melted rubber.
Oh my God,
Weird.
that sounds so good until you
Flavor.
said melted rubber.
It's
Like I would have ordered that except for the melted
I
rubber.
want COVID. Oh, no.
Oh, melted
but
rubber.
It's just everything smells like that. Everything tastes like that. And so my appetite, I've realized how much taste and scent, smell has to do with your appetite.
Yeah.
My appetite's just been gone. Like sometimes I'll be really hungry and then I'll start to eat something. I'll be like, nah, I'm good. I can't finish the food. But I've lost like 6 pounds or so.
Wow.
So it's been on the best what is it called? Weight loss regimen that
Yeah.
I've been on for a long time. So
That it's so weird because and this is just me, I guess, but you're gonna laugh. But when I couldn't taste or smell anything, it did not affect my appetite at all.
You're just chowing down.
I'm just like making the same food and eating it, and while I'm eating it, I'm like, I can't taste this. But I just like
I'll bet it tastes good.
Yeah,
you can
it-
imagine what it
it
tastes
didn't
like.
matter. I was just like, I'll just keep
Yeah.
eating. So
For me, the weird taste is just so distracting because I want to enjoy it, but I can't.
yeah,
yeah.
But my symptoms have been, for the most part, it's really been like fatigue. I had some cold sweats and muscle soreness for a couple days, but mostly it's just the fatigue and exhaustion. Like I can't, I have to I have to take a nap during the middle of the day, and I never do naps. But other than that, I've been functionable. Like I've been working
yeah,
like normal.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I didn't work. I just like played video games, took naps, and ate, just like you said. So my wife is like at her wit's end up until like 3 days ago. Like 3 days ago, I was like, I think I can do it. I can live now. Like before that, I was like trying. Like I'd go work for a couple hours and just be like, oh, it's time for a nap.
Nope.
But now I can work through a whole day, physical manual labor. And
Sitting over here, I think you guys are just old.
it's probably what it is.
Can't
We
taste
don't
it
even
stuff
have
anymore.
don't even
I can't
actually
taste.
have COVID.
But I do
tired
take
after
a
an
nap
hour.
during the day now.
No, that's the weirdest thing. It like wears you out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just like tired
Yeah.
all the time.
But the whole time I'm thinking none of this justifies what we've done to ruin this country and ruin lives.
Yeah. Well, for us, it doesn't.
I mean,
But for
Right.
those 18 people that have had really serious, I shouldn't say 18. It's been a lot of people.
18.
What is the count? It's like
an insult.
700,000 people now have died, something like that.
Past 800,000, I think,
I stopped
last
keeping
week or
track.
something.
You don't know because you don't believe it.
Well,
You think it was
I can't. Even if I
75.
take my shoes off, I can't count that high, so it doesn't really matter. It's unfathomable to me.
Any
It's
number.
more than 20, so
Well, I mean, I can multiply by 10, so anything past like 100, 1,000, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people.
I just think that's a lot of people.
Yeah. It's almost, if you guys remember when we were all arguing about COVID, like when it was very first starting, and Mike was like, how many people would have, we were arguing because like Fauci and them were saying like, oh, we might have 250 to 400,000 people die. And I was like, no way. And I was like, even if they do, it's not worth shutting the thing down. And Mike was like, well, how many would be worth it? And I was like, I don't know, like 2 million. And so we haven't gotten to where I originally thought would be enough people to die. And I was thinking 2 million a year.
Yeah.
And since I know everything about statistics and the value of human life on a wide scale.
Since I'm the one that judges whether people live or die.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense. I did see one of those videos that was like talking about the comparisons of different things. You've seen this before where it's like the most beef eaten by a country. And then they show you like a video of
correlation
of yeah.
Yeah.
And anyways, so they did that with plagues, like the biggest, the craziest, the most deaths from any one pandemic type thing, right? And it went through H1N1 and Ebola and all this stuff. But of course, it went to the highest one, which was, you guys know?
Like plague.
Black Death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Black Plague or whatever.
Black Plague. 200 million people.
Yeah.
That's beyond, like, I get it. Like, these kind of stuff, shutdowns and all this crazy stuff. I understand it if we're talking numbers like that. We're nowhere near that. But
yeah,
anyway.
it was funny. Somebody like, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, CNN or one of those people were like, COVID has now killed more people than the Spanish flu. And I was like, what the F? There's no way. And I looked it up, and there is no way. It was estimates of 17 million to 50 million, possibly as high as 100 million.
Not
the
even
Spanish flu?
Not even
Yeah.
the lowest number was even close.
Well, right now, the total worldwide COVID deaths
18.
are what? 18? 4.93 million worldwide? That's not even a comparison
Yeah, I don't know.
by the lowest estimates.
Are you charging for like let's bitch about COVID Volume 9
Yeah.
of the American
I guess
Fork
that's what we
podcast?
always do, right?
That's what
It's
we
like-
always end up doing.
It's like, hey, welcome to the COVID.
Welcome to the COVID
the
19.
American COVID podcast.
The American COVID podcast. That's what we should call it.
Yeah, the COVID 19 9/11 tribute podcast.
But I do have some local news,
Is it COVID related?
believe it or
Because
not.
we're not going to report it if it's not.
So the American Fork police chief has announced his retirement. He's been with the department since 1992.
Not as the chief, though. He's started out as a
Yeah, of course.
ticketman,
As a ticketman.
a meter maid,
I think. I think
as a janitor.
I think he was a ticket man for sure.
Just started by sweeping the floors.
So yeah, he's retiring. So apparently there will be a new police chief. Someone is saying.
Like most stories from American Fork, that's boring.
Oh, okay. I got a good one though.
Unless his name is like Butt Kiss or something like that. That'd be a good story.
So Utopia Fiber is taking American Fork City to court over their build permit refusals. Fiber says it has been denied permits that have harmed it and its customers despite an existing city agreement. So going to court. I'm super excited about this.
Of course you are.
Because, and I don't know, so Jeff works or owns a general contracting company.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a general contractor. I don't know if you've experienced this, but American Fork is notorious for being the worst, having the worst building department.
Yeah.
They
Really?
don't approve things.
inspectors are-
the inspections are ludicrous. Like you get called on every little thing.
The artist, Ludacris?
Yeah.
I woke up and she ain't got teeth.
And I can reinforce this because every 2 years you have to renew your contractor's license and you have to do 6 hours of education.
Yeah,
and so
continued
I
education.
usually go last minute, like I'm going to do next week, to this to this big class, and there's like probably 300 people packed in it that are all getting their thing last minute. And it came up, they were like, somebody mentioned American Fork, and like everyone laughed, and like there were like 6 or 8 comments like, oh, they do this and they do this. Like it's kind of generally known among contractors that American Fork is the worst place to do business.
That's unfortunate.
yeah,
I've
it
never
really is.
once pulled a permit from American Fork,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, never.
Yeah, I haven't pulled permits, but I've worked on jobs where like the homeowner has or that kind of thing, and it's been a pain.
Yeah,
Not for me because I didn't pull the permit, but
Yeah.
for the
we've had a lot of
people
problems
doing
with Taylorsville City.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah, pain in the butt.
yeah Park City, whatever. What's
Oh,
that
yeah,
county?
Summit County.
Summit County.
They're
is
terrible, too.
Terrible.
You got to be part of their club.
Yeah.
and like go golfing with them.
Yeah.
and eat steak.
No joke. So
Seriously, it's like the big boy. It's like a boys' club.
So I have a client down in California in a ritzy place like that, and permitting was going forever. Finally, the contractor calls him up and is like, "Hey, I'm here right now with the 2 guys at the building department. Why don't you bring over the best bottle of wine you can get,
No,
and we'll have a good time. I think we can get this worked out." So he went out, bought like
Oh
a
my
crazy
gosh.
bottle of wine, goes over. Literally, like they asked him, like, "Hey, bribe us." Isn't that what they're saying?
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Bribe us and it'll all work out.
No. It goes like this. Why don't you come on over and we'll have a discussion about this permit and iron out the details.
Yeah.
Bring some wine.
It's crazy. It was crazy to begin with how long the permitting process had taken
Right.
down there. It's like insane. Like I don't know how anyone even stays in business. But
So I know we're talking about Utopia Fiber in American Fork, but I will tell you that in Summit County, it's like the boys' club up there. We had an inspection, and the inspector showed up, and the questions he was asking me was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's like, "Who did you get to do your framing?" I'm like, why does it matter?
framer.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what company did this. Did it pass? Oh, cool. Yeah. What company did your installation? I'm like, I don't know. Just some guys I've been working with. I didn't want to divulge it because I'm like, what kind of questioning is this? This is a county inspector.
yeah.
And he wants to know.
He was just waiting for you to say the right name.
If these buddies are
Yeah.
a part of this inspection process. I'm like, I honestly don't know all the companies. I just
I sub them out. Yeah.
I'm here filling in for someone. I can't remember what I told him, but I'm like, I don't know. He's like, oh, who do you plan on having doing your this and that? And I'm like, what the hell is this guy? How about, why
does that matter?
Why don't you look at my shear wall schedule and like tell me it failed or something like
Yeah.
that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear whether these people are cool to you or not. So
It really sounds like they just hired a guy and they're like, "We don't have time to train you. You got to go do these 5 inspections today."
oh yeah.
And
No.
he just goes out like,
The
Ask
actual problem is
questions.
this guy had worked there for like 30 years.
Oh, really?
And knew everybody.
Yeah.
And he was just a dickhead about it. And he
See,
did. He
and-
failed us on like the stupidest things. You're like, what?
See, and it makes you wonder if that's like code. Like, is he asking who's going to do your thing? Like, that's a question that has nothing to do with an inspection.
Nothing.
So is he like putting out feelers like, who's going to do your drywall? And that's code for like, okay, here's $200.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Like, I really wonder about stuff like that now
yeah.
that I've had my
Yeah.
eyes open to the corrupt world of government,
yeah.
whatever.
Luckily, that was the only inspection he did. He did fail us. Anyway, long story short, he made us put an exhaust fan in a room, and we're like, it was an exercise room. We're like, there's no humidity in here.
That's weird.
There's nothing. There's no egress requirements because it's not a space that's going to be whatever. It's like, well, the air ventilation, blah blah. And we're like, okay. He made us put a fart fan in an exercise room.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, cool. Thanks. I think for
Yeah.
your inspection.
I get stuff like that all the time, and it's when it almost is never like per code, and you can always like appeal it, but the appeals process would kill
Ridiculous.
you. It'd shut your whole job down. It's like 6 months to get going. So everybody just kind of turns around and takes
yeah.
it. And,
I mean, it cost us like $900 to put the fan in, but it's like, why?
yeah.
I told the homeowner, I'm like, we can just cover it up if you want when we're done.
Yeah. Or we'll just take it out and drywall over it
I'll just buy the cheapest one from Home Depot
Yeah.
that might work for a month.
with a battery in it.
Yeah, with a
Like,
battery.
It's like, see, it's working up
With a
there.
speaker in there that goes,
Yeah.
That sounds like a fan.
I'll get my son up in the attic so he can make a noise while they come in. Hear that airflow? Anyway, so on
Utopia Fiber.
Utopia-
Oh, good.
I
So
hope
American Fork is not permitting for Utopia to put their internet.
yeah, they're
in
claiming
there?
that like they've got customers wanting service. They need to put the fiber in,
Mm-hmm.
but the city's saying like, oh no, you can't put this fiber line in because blah blah blah.
Well, it's a conflict of interest. They have their own fiber. American Fork does, right?
Do they still? That's what I was wondering.
Pretty
Yeah, and I
Sure.
was thinking. I thought Utopia was. I thought that American Fork fiber optic company became Utopia, and so I was confused. But I guess not. But yeah, they do have their
Yeah.
own.
What was that called when we were kids?
It was a Tiger. Oh, Mike would know it right off the top of his head.
Come on, Mike. What is it?
Mike, where are you? I remember the logo. It was a tiger,
What was it?
like in a tiger body.
Panther?
No, that's not a tiger. First of all,
It was an actual tiger.
yeah, the logo was a tiger, and then the tiger turned into the words, and it was like fiber.
I know now
tel.
it's called AF Connect or something.
AF,
Yeah.
AF Connect,
But
fiber.
it had a different name when we were growing up.
Yeah, it did.
It was
Jake's
like Airstream or
AF Connect fiber. That's what it is called.
Speedstream.
error code 404.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
You know how Utopia works, though. They put
Fiber
the
internet.
yeah
Yeah.
they put the infrastructure there, but they don't supply internet.
Right. I have had Utopia before, so you have to go through a list of third-party companies and sign up.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is.
It's
weird.
kind of like, hey, we'll build the freeway, but we're not going to drive any cars on it. We'll
Yeah.
leave that up to Uber or
Right.
something, you know. But you can use our freeway.
That's why I love. Well, I've heard that Provo is a nice place to live because of Google Fiber is
Yeah.
the best internet you'll ever have.
It is.
It is not only because it always runs top speed day and night,
Mm-hmm.
but the bill is just exactly what they say every month. It
And
doesn't
it's
go
not
up.
much either.
It's not much at all. It's way less than
for what
everyone
you
else.
get. Yeah.
So
And it's like gigabytes of like a gigabyte of speed. Right?
Legitimately, not like
It's not the,
Yeah.
the claimed in best case scenario.
right.
So yeah, and that's a weird thing about internet speeds that I wish Mike were here to talk about. But like on Google Fiber, you can get a consistent test of that speed. But whenever you download a file, it's never that speed.
Right.
Like you're never
Yeah.
going to get the speed that. And I think I think the service providers, when they get the ping from a speed test site, they're like, "Oh, I better ramp the speed up so that it shows a higher speed."
Yeah, it's
But you
definitely
never
possible.
get an actual download, like where you download a file or a movie at the speed that they're claiming. It's always like
on Napster
it's on
or LimeWire.
LimeWire, or no, what was the one we used?
Yeah. LimeWire.
LimeWire and Napster.
And Napster.
No, not LimeWire. What was it called? Kazaa.
LimeWire.
Remember Kazaa?
Kazaa
Yeah,
was
because
another
I was
one,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've never downloaded illegal stuff.
All the
no,
time.
that's not something
Never.
that we would have done in the late 90s. No.
Yeah, or recently,
early
according
2000s.
to somebody we know. I won't say. Anyway, on to national news. Brian Laundrie's remains have been confirmed dead.
His remains
His
are dead.
remains are dead.
But he's still at large.
alive.
And I guess they were saying they were skeletal remains. Is that right?
You know,
That's what it sounded like in the different articles that
So
I
he
listened
would have
to.
had to, if he's a skeleton, he either was melted by drug lords in acid, or he had to have died very recently after, or very soon after she did. Like he would have had to have been out there forever, being not to be morbid, but
it's been a
being
little
picked
over
out by animals
a
or
month now.
whatever.
I guess where they found him used to be covered in water, and so alligators and other animals definitely
fish.
would have.
Oh, it is Florida, so there's
Yeah.
all kinds of crazy.
I think, and I filled in all the blanks and have no data to back any of this up, but I think that he killed her and then he went back home and realized I messed up big time, went out to where he was used to
Yeah.
and killed himself. And the body was there and it was there for weeks and
Got
weeks and
eaten
weeks.
and eaten.
I mean,
Or
even
somebody killed him.
maybe, yeah.
Like, because he's such a big, everyone hated him. Oh, let's get him. Let's find him. He killed her. Maybe somebody saw him and killed him. And
I think he offed himself.
yeah,
I would.
Yeah.
That's the first thing
I
I
think
thought.
you're wrong.
I think his dad killed him.
Or
What?
her dad.
Yeah. Aren't they? Where are they? Are they in Florida?
Her
parents?
Where her parents
Her
were.
parents. Petito.
It'd be cool if we knew things
we don't.
before we talked.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know he's dead. It's a tragedy, but a bigger tragedy. I shouldn't say bigger. All life is equally valid.
I disagree.
no.
So they were saying that while they were looking for this guy in this park, they found 3 other bodies for unsolved cases.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, oh, we probably should have looked here before.
So apparently this place is littered with bodies. We're all freaking out about Gabby and this guy. Apparently there were 3 other families that could have had some closure too if that park was searched a little better. I don't know.
Just realized that there's a underground crime ring of alligators
Yeah,
that dispose of bodies there.
it could be.
Turns out there is.
You know, humidity, that kind of environment though, does crazy things. In the Philippines, I have pictures of this. Like around the corner from our apartment, we would walk every morning to walk over to where the taxis were. And I walked by and there's a dead dog there one day. Full dog just lying there dead.
Right?
And literally over the course of maybe a week, that thing disintegrated down to bones and like a couple little tufts of hair. Like,
Well, it's not just the humidity; it's the bugs that thrive in the humidity,
Exactly.
and the insects, the critters, the larger animals like crocodiles and stuff. That's why it's probably a partial skeleton,
yeah.
because some crime boss alligator threw out the rest of the body down the river.
Piranhas, bacteria,
Some monkey.
Yep.
ants that eat flesh off of people. I don't know.
Swimming-
Poor guy and his poor family. I actually feel bad for his family because like they didn't have any part in her death.
You know,
He may have not either, but they're like so vilified and harassed and like people
Right.
are calling and on their front lawn. Like,
that's the part I feel bad.
Yeah.
You see pictures of their house, and it's like news cameras and satellite trucks, and you're
Yeah.
like, anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
it sucks.
the worst part about it is there's no closure for either family.
Yeah.
maybe he didn't kill her. It was someone else.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is we don't know.
Yeah.
And it's not going to come out that somebody else killed Gabby Petito. Right? We assumed the whole time that Brian Laundrie did it. Now that his remains have been found, we don't know
Yeah.
what happened.
Unless there's something found in his journal. Because they recovered his backpack, too.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how faithfully he writes in his journal.
And the
but-
journal's all wet, and they're like gonna forensically dry it and like scan it with micro something. I don't know. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, well, there are 3 other dead people you just pulled out. Aren't you gonna like discover what happened to them?
Yeah, do we know who they are?
Yeah, they published it. I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but
Yeah, that was
there were some
yesterday's
people.
news.
yeah, yeah. Everyone listened to this is like, oh, it was like last week.
Right.
It's like you guys all took a
No, I mean,
vacation.
I mean the other 2 deaths. It's like, they don't matter because it's not like the mainstream story anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, guess that's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
We'll still hear about it.
Unless we find that guy confessing to a prison inmate in 10 years that really killed her and
Right.
maybe killed him too. Made him drive him back to Florida and then killed her boyfriend. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know what happened,
Wow.
right?
I won't
I
tell
don't
you.
know. I wasn't there. I swear to God.
I'm not going to tell you what
I
happened.
swear I wasn't there.
I swear. I will.
So, in other news, hundreds of three-eyed dinosaur shrimp.
I'm sorry. Wait.
Listen, I'll have to get through this.
I thought you said three-eyed dinosaur shrimp.
Hundreds of three-eyed dinosaur shrimp emerge
yeah, that's
after
what he said.
Arizona monsoon. Their eggs can stay dormant for decades, waiting for water. Look at this little thing. It's like something out of Alien.
Decades.
Yeah, so this thing was like underground for decades. Nobody ever sees it. And then they had this big monsoon down there. And it got wet enough, and a bunch of these things like crawled out of the ground. They're like little dinosaur alien looking things.
What the F?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Oh. Isn't that crazy that something can stay like underground for years and years and years?
Like frogs.
Yeah.
Cicadas?
Yeah.
Cicadas
Do that. Yeah, they come out like every 7 years, or I guess there's like 3 different cicada species that have different cycles. Like there's a 7-year cicada and like a 13-year and like
Yeah.
a 17-year or something like that.
You know, if you want a real nice cicada, the 17-year is good. Pairs well with meat, too.
Premium cicada meat.
It really helps to get your permits through, too.
Oh,
Yeah,
I like
it's
it.
really nice.
So was this alien shrimp? Is it a new species of animal that
I guess they
we've
were
never
saying
seen before?
No, I guess some people knew about it, but it's just very rare to see. And they were saying it pretty much came out in like this one pool
Weird.
in Arizona. So
Have you guys seen the Tomorrow War?
No.
no, but I recently discovered I've been paying for Amazon Prime for like the last 2 years
Oh, really?
and not knowing it. So
You literally sent a man to space.
so I started watching it again.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm
Tomorrow
gonna
War
watch
was
it.
pretty cool.
Was it?
Anyways, I don't want to spoil it for you, but, you know,
Dinosaur shrimp.
but dinosaur shrimp.
Or shrimp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've been watching The Expanse on there. Have you watched that at all?
no.
That's that book I told you about.
I started listening to that on the way here, actually.
Do you like it?
Sure.
Oh.
Like 40 minutes in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
It'll
just
take a
getting
while
it
to get into.
established.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna keep Amazon Prime?
Until I finish the shows that I'm going to watch, and
Yeah.
then I'm going to turn it off.
Are you going to watch Blue Origin take their next launch? Jean-Luc Picard's going into space next.
Oh, is he?
No, I made that up.
He already went.
No, what's his name?
No,
just
that's
went?
Jack- Captain
it was,
Kirk.
Yeah, what's that? What's
Get
his
your
name?
crap straight.
Patrick.
No.
Patrick
Dempsey.
Swayze. Yeah, that was
Dempsey.
it.
Uh,
No, it's Captain Kirk.
yeah, what's
You
his
don't
name?
need. You know that is his name. Captain Kirk.
That's driving me nuts.
It's
Does anybody know him by anything else?
Captain Kirk. He's 90 years old. Went into space.
William Shatner.
Yeah.
That's who played him.
Bill Shatner.
Yeah, it was actually kind of touching because he went into space. It came out. He gives Bezos a hug.
Oh, really?
And he like starts to cry. He's like,
Yeah.
"That you just gave me a gift that I can't even describe."
Yeah. Can you imagine pretending like you're doing something your whole life and then actually
Right.
going and doing it?
Yeah,
Like, well, that's not his whole life, but like it's what he's known for.
yeah,
Right.
You know?
It's true. It's yeah, and doing like one of the craziest, like rarest things in the human experience. Like it's
Yeah.
not like he played a doctor on TV and then just got his medical
Right.
degree.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
he went to space. So there's a lot of debate apparently about whether or not these people are actually going to space.
Oh, here we go.
And whether or not they're actually, I'm serious. Like, I guess some people from NASA or something are like, well, it doesn't really qualify because they're only at 92,000 feet.
They're still inside the troposphere.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, leaving.
Oh my gosh.
But I was watching something the other day, and the International Space Station isn't even outside of our atmosphere. Like, obviously, it's outside of breathable atmosphere, but it's still considered like part of. It's not outer Earth or whatever you'd call that, outer space.
Yeah. Sounds
So-
like a pretty pointless debate. I want to talk about
so-
why does
so-
Blue Origin's rocket look like a dick?
So, do you think that?
Can we just talk about that?
Can we please talk about that?
Why the rocket does?
Looks like a penis.
Oh yeah,
It looks like someone watched Austin Powers, Goldmember, and they're
they're
like,
like, "Yeah, let's-
I got a design. I don't
Johnson.
know. Johnson.
So is that because the top thing like comes off when it
you-
gets up there?
Have you seen a dick before?
Yeah.
It looks like that.
No, I know, but practically, doesn't it look like that because that top thing like or does it not come off?
Practically no other rocket looks like that. So why do they have to do it like that?
I don't know. Let's
I
Google
think it's
that.
phallic.
Get it?
Jake's face was so worried right now.
Jake can't even taste what we're talking about.
He can't. No, but I looked up. I don't know why. I was actually reading a lot about rockets recently, and the SpaceX Starship. Have you seen that? The
Yeah.
stainless steel rocket
Yeah.
that they like take off and land.
But it's conceptual right now, right?
No, they've like flown it around
Oh.
and stuff. Oh. But apparently, but they've only flown it with like 3 engines. And it takes up to like 16 or something like that.
Wow.
So they've like taken off, they fly it around, and then it lands vertically, just like it took off.
Yeah.
And they blew one up, I think. They like
Are you kidding? Are you just catching on to this? They've been studying it. They've been doing this for long time.
I know, but the reason I got excited about it because I hadn't realized that it's actually like twice the size of what's the rocket that went to the moon? Now I forgot about that.
The NASA, the Apollos.
Discovery? No, that's
Apollo.
Mars.
No, I don't think it was the Apollo missions, but the rocket was called something Saturn V, I think.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I'm not that nerdy.
anyway,
But the Apollo rockets.
yeah, they were the biggest rockets ever built by man
Right.
until this Starship rocket.
Yeah.
So,
I love Elon Musk. I'm telling you. I come across videos every once in a while of him talking about things, and you're just when he's like, when I first got into this, I had to figure out, I had to get a rocket to like start testing and getting and
Right.
deconstructing and figuring out what's going on. He's like, and it's a pretty awkward situation when you're going, planning. And he's got this weird stutter that he does, like. When you're going to go to Russia to get, you're talking to someone in Russia about buying a rocket, and some billionaire is going to buy a rocket that's supposed to have, I don't want the warhead, but they don't understand. Why don't you want the warhead? You just want the rocket. But I ended up getting, anyways, it's just really funny to hear
I
him
ended
talk.
up buying it anyway.
I didn't end up getting it, for whatever.
Put $100 million of my own money into it.
It's funny. Anyway, I love Elon.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of crazy stuff. It makes you wonder if we're actually like they're flying all these rockets, doing all these tests, but they still haven't like. And this is gonna get way into like moon landing conspiracy, and I won't. We'll have to do another episode, but like, we're still nowhere close to like what we were doing before. We were landing people on the moon before and sending shuttles out all the
Yeah.
time. Now we're like, yay, we just sent an actor into lower orbit.
And
like,
we didn't even do it.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos did it.
Right. Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, the rich people, know.
Well, even just saying like mankind, like if you look at mankind's progress in space, they're like, oh yeah, this space race, wow. But it's like,
But it's
yeah,
a bit less inclusive when it's not a nation, though.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I have an Amazon Prime membership, but that's about as close as I get.
Yeah, but don't you think that like people like the Chinese or the French or Australians or people in Africa watched the moon landing and were like, we did that, like people got to the moon.
No.
Not so much like, oh, America got to the moon. It was like a thing for all mankind.
Yeah, but like when they watched,
One small step
for man,
America.
one from, I know, I was there on the moon with him, talking to him. No, but it's like,
In the studio basement.
Lethal Weapon, the movie's made. Do you see people in England going, we made this movie?
Yeah.
This was amazing.
No, I get it, but I what I'm saying is I am referring to like mankind. Like,
Yeah,
what
but
are we doing in space?
I think you have a more group dynamic, like look at it though, because you're an American and Americans did it.
Yeah.
I don't think the world feels that way. Kim Jong-un was not like, oh, we did it. He was like, God damn those piece of crap Americans.
They did it.
They did it. Anyway,
Was he though? Was that post? Yeah, I guess it was post Korean War, wasn't it?
I don't know. I'm just
don't
making
know
things.
dates.
I called him Kim Jong-un because I don't know who it was at that time.
So anyway, what we were talking about? Something about Korea.
Oh.
Alien shrimp. That's how we
that's
got all the
right.
way into space.
Three-eyed alien
So
dinosaur.
maybe we'll get up to the moon again one day and pour a bunch of water on the ground, and these things will just like pop out like daisies.
I just watched The Martian
Yeah.
with Matt Damon. You seen that? It's so good.
Yeah, the
It
documentary.
is so good. I'm not kidding. It's a really, really good movie. There's just enough truth in there to believe it, and just enough science in there to make it cool, but it's obviously fiction and really fun though.
Yeah. I liked it. I didn't like him in it for some reason. I don't know why.
Matt Damon.
Is that what he sounds like?
No, you guys have never seen this show. It's Team America, the puppet show.
Oh.
Matt Damon's in it, and all he says is, Matt Damon. Someone gets it out there that's listening, but not you two.
No,
All right, good.
I don't. Anyway, so this is our last episode before Halloween, right? Is that correct?
I mean,
Yes,
it's
it
going
is.
to come out. It'll be Happy Halloween on Saturday. I mean, you guys are celebrating Saturday, right?
Oh, I guess so.
Is that the day?
Is that what you do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah. Well, it's on. I think Halloween does not fall.
It's
it
on
falls
Sunday.
On Sunday, right?
Yeah, but you're a Scientologist.
Yeah. That's
So what
true.
do you do?
You go on Saturday because that's when people pass out candy.
Oh, that's true even in
Yeah.
West
You
Valley.
do it when the Utah
Yeah.
people do it.
Well, that's an interesting point. I wonder if across the whole country they change the day because it's on a Sunday.
I wouldn't think so, but maybe.
I bet you they do.
You think so?
Yeah.
But what about Seventh-day Adventists? They do Saturday.
I've never
so-
been to Venice.
Adventists.
But yeah, I don't
No,
know.
but
if-
we've always we've changed it to Saturday if it's on a Sunday.
Yeah. And that's one thing I know that's the universal rule is if it's a holiday that people usually get off and it lands on a Saturday or Sunday, they will observe it on Friday or Monday, right? So they get
Yeah.
the day off. But Halloween's one of those weird ones that just no one gets the day off.
Yeah.
for
There's
that.
no professional observing of that.
Right. So in Utah, obviously, we would switch it to, if it lands on Sunday, we'll switch it to Saturday.
Yeah.
So
Can you guys remember how old you were when you went trick-or-treating by yourself?
to be honest, I don't think I remember going trick-or-treating with family very much.
Oh, really? Like with your parents?
Yeah, so probably 7, 6.
Yeah.
It was probably the last time I went with my parents.
Yeah, I was wondering because I was like, are my kids old enough to go out on their own?
Sure.
I never once let my kids go out on their own.
Oh, really?
Never.
You haven't done
No,
it?
and they're getting to the age of being too old to now.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because you were worried about it? huh?
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
you
not
live in
necess-
West Valley,
It's
so
not worried. I mean, I heard I live in West Valley,
By-
but that's not true.
Oh, yeah.
By Raising Canes.
Raising Cane's is my neighbor. I'm building a house next door to him. It's just kidding. It's a Krispy Kreme that's being built next to him. But no, I've always gone with my kids.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, it's never weird. It's never like, oh, I'm going with you. It's like, hey, we're
going.
going trick or treating.
yeah. See, that's how it's been so far with us.
Yeah.
But I feel like my daughter is like, I want to go by myself. And I'm feeling like okay about that, I think.
I think that she needs a job and needs to start paying rent. Then she can go trick or treat by herself.
Yeah, maybe that's how I should phrase it.
No, but my kids are, in their teens now. They're 14, 13, and 11.
Yeah.
So it's like
11 teen.
Or no, 12. She just turned 12. But they could totally go on their own. But now they're getting to the age where they're like, I don't even know if I want to go.
Right.
Like, I'm getting too old for this. I'm taller than half the people passing out candy.
Do you guys remember the last time we went trick or treating? And everyone was like pissed at us because we
Yeah.
were way too old.
And we were knocking on doors till like 11:30 or 12 at night. Yeah, I remember
Well, I
that.
think it's probably because, I don't know, most of us probably had our shirts off or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, why do you have a beard?
I'm pretty sure my last trick or treating costume was a trench coat with no shirt on underneath.
Yeah, you were a flasher, I think.
Yeah. I was selling sundials or something.
And you were like 17. And you're like, I'm still a minor. You can't do anything.
I don't have a curfew. I do remember, though, something that is not common these days. I don't see kids with pillowcases out there gathering candies. They have bags.
Oh, like a
went to-
little bucket.
I
Yeah.
went to Trader
Walmart
Joe's
bags.
and got this bag or what. I don't know, the reusable grocery bags
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
buckets or something like that. What happened to the Ninja Turtle pillowcase or whatever? Like the Rainbow Bright pillowcase or something. I swear to you, I've had that thing, half full of candy.
Yeah, I know that. And we take out those little buckets and the kids like fill those up, and I'm like, yeah, when we were kids we did this, but I don't say that out loud because I'm like, I don't want my kids to have 15 pounds of candy. Like,
Do you guys
that's
want
crazy.
Oh, you got 20 pieces. All right. That's
Yeah.
a good night.
And they're happy with it. They're like, because we just don't ever give our kids candy. Like,
Okay.
but
You need to try this. And
Yeah.
I've been doing it for the last 3 or 4 years, and it is hilarious. Okay. So you got to look at candy as though you're that age. It's like a high commodity item and like really important. You guys are both yawning.
Sorry. I've been yawning all day.
I understand, Jake, but Phil, come on.
it's been a long week.
I'm just kidding. Anyways, you got to put yourself in their shoes. Is that candy is a high commodity item. They got dressed up. They walked around in the cold. They knocked on people's doors and they worked for this candy, right? So next time this Halloween, when your kids bring all their candy out, I don't know how you guys do it, but we'll pour all the candy out and we'll start separating it. Toys, candy,
Needles.
what I like, what I don't like,
Yeah.
Razor
LSD
blades.
laced, whatever, right? So we start separating it. What I do is I tell the kids, I will buy all of your candy right now for $100. I'm dead serious. I've done this. I did $100 the first year, $50 the next year, and then $50 last year. And I tell them, I'll buy all your candy from you, all of it. You have to give me all of it, and I'll give you $50. And never once will they sell their candy because they work
Really?
their ass off for it.
Yeah.
It's worth more than $50 to them.
Just
If
wait
you-
until they like go to Walmart though and figure it out. Like, oh,
No, and
can buy-
I've told them that. I'm like, and then here's the thing. I'll say, okay, you can get 15 pieces to yourself, and I'll buy it for $20. And then it's like, then they start thinking like, oh, I can pay 15 and then $20. Okay, I don't know. Anyways, my kids have never taken the deal ever, and I'd be interested if your guys would, like after they bust their butt to get it.
Yeah, I'll have
Right.
to try it. That'd be interesting. An interesting psychological experiment to perform on my children.
Yeah, amongst the other ones that you typically perform on them.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what'll happen if I yell at them. But yeah, I always try and buy my kids candy, and they almost never sell it to me.
Yeah, I'll have to try it. So Halloween's like a spooky time or something about
Yeah, it is.
witches and goblins and stuff. So here's a kind of a deep question for you.
Oh, snap.
What is the most afraid you have ever been?
I will tell you.
Okay, tell us.
I have chills right now.
Okay.
Mine lasted more than, it wasn't like, ooh, scary. And then I was over it.
Yeah.
This lasted like 2 days. And I think Jake was more involved in this than he remembers. Let me think I'll have to remember the whole story because it just came to mind. I went and watched a movie with somebody, and I don't even know who it was. It was called The Ring.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That movie freaked me out so bad, I couldn't sleep by myself for 2 days. And I was like 17 or 18 years old. I was not a little kid. That night after I watched it, I was so freaked out that I went and slept at my girlfriend's house. And I was like, I'm sleeping on your couch. I don't freaking care. I just need to know that there's people around me. Can you put a blanket over the TV?
Oh, right. Unplug the TV.
Can we
please.
put this outside?
But the reason I say I think Jake was involved in it is I think the next day we were together for a lot of the time in that night, and I think I slept over at your house or you slept over at my house or something like that because I was seriously like, this is not happening. I am not going to be by myself for 2 days. It took me 2 nights of being with somebody like in the same room, basically sleeping. I was so freaked out. And
Yeah.
at night, it still gives me chills. I saw that movie one time, and I'm like, that was the freakiest movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Freaky, though.
You remember that movie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Was
I
it
do.
freak-
I
Were you that
watched it-
scared?
I watched it many times. I was not that scared, no, but it was up there.
I do remember being freaked out and like not sleeping well that night.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about like the premise right now and everything. And I'm like, was it even scary? Like, or was it just like,
It was I recall it being more disturbing
disturbing? Yeah.
than scary. But yes, it had its scary, like it make you jump moments. A lot of them.
It had nothing to do with that. I think the one thing that scared me so badly was the visual of her coming out of the TV.
Yeah.
That was it. and coming up on the person and like digitizing or whatever happened.
Ooh, I'm getting chills a
Oh,
little bit.
freaks
just
me
thinking
out.
about that.
Well,
yeah.
it's when it's for me, the worst part was the people being discovered after they had died,
Oh,
basically being terrified to death.
so like real. Yeah. Okay.
And that
Real-
was the scariest
Oh yeah,
part.
I'm remembering more of the movie now.
Because like they
I'll
had
have
like
to watch it.
scratches on the side of the
Well,
well.
their faces were
Oh, that's
like,
right.
petrified, like they had been screaming,
Scared
died
to death.
screaming to death.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
That was the scariest part for me.
Yeah.
But it did have a
yeah.
lot of disturbing imagery in it.
Is there a
so-
scarier movie than The Ring? Have you ever seen it?
Here's the crazy thing. Like I've heard of a lot of very scary movies, like the thriller slasher movies. They don't scare me.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. They just don't bother me.
Yeah.
In fact, they're very entertaining half the time to me. But it's when you start getting to the spiritual element and like hauntings and possessions and stuff like that. That's when for some reason it freaks me out.
The Grudge. The Grudge
yeah, that was
pretty
not fun.
See, those
scary.
ones like don't. For some reason, I just like think they're hilarious. Like we were watching this one on Netflix, and it was like, I can't remember, but it was kind of a good movie, and then you found out someone was like possessed by Satan's baby or something, and then it just became laughable after that. Like, it was kind of
What movies do you find scary, Phil?
No, if I think about it, I think I've never been as scared in a movie. Now, I was like a teenager when that came out,
Right.
but I don't think I've ever like felt that scared while watching a movie. Most horror movies that I've watched are just like,
They're laughable.
or it's like a little thrill kind of like, but it's not like disturbing like that one was, where it
Yeah.
just like made you stay up all night thinking about it.
Yeah. Impactful. Like
Yeah.
The Matrix.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop thinking about The Matrix after I watched it for probably a couple days. I mean, it was obviously very different than The Ring, but it was very impactful for some reason.
yeah. No,
Saving Private Ryan, same thing.
I would agree with that. Jake doesn't.
There's a new Matrix coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be good. But don't segue or whatever. What's the scariest you've ever been?
Scariest movie?
Last week.
We're backing up now.
Just
we
in
talked
general.
about
Oh,
movies
yeah.
'cause he brought
Okay,
up
so yours
movies.
was when you watched that movie.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
scared you've ever been.
First thing that came to mind was Geneva Steel.
Yeah.
So in what is now Vineyard, Utah, between like Pleasant Grove and Orem area, there was a Geneva Steel, a steel plant.
Yeah.
And they would make steel products. And
And they started it, I think, in like World War II. It was like to gear up
long time ago.
to make
it's
like
really old.
planes and stuff.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and it eventually went out of business and went abandoned. And of course, when you get high school kids like us, and there's an abandoned property, we spend time there.
Yeah.
And so we would go in there by
By
whatever
moonlight.
forces, whatever means we had available at the time, and we would go around and go into the different building. I mean, it was still all there, so they had all
was
of
a
their
campus.
It
It was a whole bunch of stuff there. It wasn't
Yeah.
like that one building.
Yeah, they had different buildings all over the place that manufacture different things, and they do different stuff. Anyway, it's all abandoned, and it was like, I don't know, 100 something acres or something.
Yeah.
And just all of this stuff, and it's like it was just left there.
Paperwork, furniture.
Offices that were there, and yeah, furniture, everything. And we spent a lot of time. We would go in there. We spent a few days, I think, in a row. It seemed like during a summer,
Yeah.
one specific summer after we graduated or something, where we went in and found a lot of places that were unlocked. Stairwells that were creepy and doors that had signs that said, beware of asbestos and just a lot of stuff that's really intriguing for high school kids.
That asbestos will keep you up at night.
Yeah.
And just the whole experience, us being there together, we just spooked each other out. I think it was kind of the perfect storm.
Yeah, this is actually mine too. Like, and just to clarify, as teenagers, we snuck into this steel plant about a year, maybe 2 years after they had shut it down. Hopped the fence and just kind of wandered around in there. And I don't know if it's just because it's dark, but the whole place like creeped me out. Like everything about it, the shapes of the buildings, like it was like being in a horror movie. One of the weirdest things, I don't know if you remember this, we went into this like shower room.
Yeah.
And it's really hot and it's like steamy. And there's like stained red all over the floor. Like it looks like blood. Like somebody poured red paint in there or something. Or it's like rust coming off of out of the shower pipes or something. And the showers are just going. They just like are always on because they couldn't afford to install valves or something. I don't know. But these showers are going, and we'd be in there, and like one would turn off all of a sudden, and then another one would turn on, and we would be like freaking out.
Yeah.
And we'd like run into the next room, and it's like a room where they kept their lockers.
This was freaky.
And but their lockers were like this. So we go in there and we look up and we see all these shoes hanging from the ceiling in the dark, and we're like, are there like a bunch of people hanging up there? But then we figure out that it's like their locker system was like on rope pulleys that were like tied down to the walls. So they would like, when you wanted to lower your basket down, you walked over to the wall, undid your rope, and lowered your basket off the ceiling, and that had your shoes and your work clothes and stuff like that. But just weird stuff like that. And the weirdest thing, like probably the most scared I've ever been, because I've always had like a little bit of thing with spiders. Like I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm like arachnophobia level, like or whatever, but I'll like, if there's a spider, actually I should say that's kind of dissipated as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, if there was a spider like in the room, like I would like start to sweat kind of and like kind of be freaking out. But we were in the middle of this Geneva steel. There's a big light that's just like on, and we went up closer to this light and realized that we were just like surrounded by these drapes of spider webs, and they had, each one of them had like a black widow in it the size of like a mouse, like the biggest black widows you've ever seen, and they are literally everywhere, like, and we're just like watching where we walk really carefully, like, and I'm just thinking like, man, if one of these things like falls on me, like I think that was probably the scariest I've ever been.
There's like steel girders all over the place and in between those, and you couldn't see the light. You couldn't see the webs unless you saw it in just the right light, from like a street light, right? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I don't remember being that scared at that point, but you were obviously.
Yeah, I kept it. I was trying to be tough, but I'm telling you guys now that I peed my pants that night.
Did you really? That's funny.
Well, then there was the room at the bottom of the stairs. There was I think it was just a doorway outside that you open up, and then it takes you downstairs. I don't remember there being a building, but it was a basement that had a doorway access to the outside.
Right. Like into tunnels almost. Yeah.
But we walked down those stairs. On the right side was the room with the asbestos. We went in there anyway. And then on the left side of that hallway, one of the first rooms you get to when you're down there, there's a long conference table. And at the end of the conference table, there was a chalkboard.
Yeah.
Right?
Or a whiteboard. I thought.
And there was also a little television on the table.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about the TV.
See, I got more freaked out at that than the spiders.
But the chalkboard said something to the effect of serve Alliance 4 or something. Dependence upon the living.
Something like that. And a television in the corner just playing static. Just in the dark.
Yeah.
Someone had left a staticky television. It was wild. I think one of the things we were worried about is that we were going to run into a homeless person, a homeless murderer.
Some insane, crazy...
living in Geneva Steel.
And of course, together, we get together, our imaginations just go crazy. Everything that we saw, everything we heard was like a serial killer.
The number one thing I was scared about being out there is getting in trouble.
Yeah.
That was the only thing I cared about. And so if we came across a homeless person, I'd be like, oh, thank God he doesn't work here.
Right. He has
Or like
no authority.
anybody else.
He's in the same boat as us.
Yeah,
he's
just
supposed to be here.
trespassing. Got it. But if there was like a security guard, that would have freaked me out.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it was crazy because you'd go into like offices, like you'd say, and there would be. And by the way, all these buildings are open. It's not like we're breaking windows to get in. We're just like opening a door.
Yeah, there were a
walking
few
in.
doors locked, but for the
Yeah.
most part, everything is just you can wander
Yeah.
around.
Not to justify our breaking and entering
Yeah.
admission here on national television, but you'd walk into an office and there'd be like people's papers out and their calendar and everything, and like pens and papers and all their stuff, but there's just like a fine layer of dust all over it.
Yeah.
Because it hadn't been touched. And you got the impression that these people showed up to work one day and it was locked. And they said, you don't have a job anymore.
Right.
Because nobody got to, like, you had all, like I was saying, all the lockers full of clothes and shoes. Like, the place wasn't, like, cleaned out. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like, go home, everybody.
They have a lot of employees that were there, and I remember one of our mutual friends' dad used to work there. Jeremy.
Yeah.
His dad used to work there, and that was basically it. They're like, "Sorry, you're on unemployment now.
Yeah.
Bye." And it was like, "Holy crap!" And those guys scrambled to get work, and the problem was there was like 20,000 people or something. I can't remember. There's tens of thousands. I think 10,000 people or more work there.
Yeah.
And so when they shut something that big down, guess what? There's not a lot of other work, you know, for that many people to find.
I think that's what kind of made that place scary, too, because if you remember, Jeremy used to say, like, yeah, my dad would come home from work all the time and be like, somebody died at work today. Like,
Oh,
it's like a
man.
dangerous place to
I'm
be.
sure.
So, all kinds of spiritual iron workers in there. Something. No,
Scary.
Ooh. No, but I legit was freaked out when I was in there.
Yeah.
So,
Have you ever been scared by the traditional Halloween things, monsters, and not a movie, but like in your life, like even when you're a little kid or anything? Can you?
I would say when I was smaller, the haunted forest in American Fork freaked me out. Like,
Yeah. Just for the traditional reasons of
there's a guy with a chainsaw in the dark,
I
like,
get that.
and a ghouly thing.
Well, you know what they had that basically no other haunted house had was the severed guy that could run on his hands.
His name was Curtis.
Yeah, I actually worked with him.
I did too, and he was a sweetheart. He was actually a very
He was
nice
a good
guy.
Yeah.
He was in my steak.
No, but he was brilliant. People would just like freak when he ran out.
I worked at Haunted Forest with him.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
But just so the listener knows, there's a person that worked with us or that was in American Fork at this haunted house or this haunted forest, I guess it was called the Haunted Forest, that had one of the, I don't know what you call it, but it's basically like he had legs, but they were very, very tiny.
I think it's paraplegic. Isn't that the right?
I don't know. I think that's when you can't walk.
No, it's when you don't have
Tiny legs that were just
legs.
tucked underneath his
Basically.
body.
And so he could walk on his hands.
Yeah.
He had a wheelchair, but he could walk around on his hands very well, right?
Run. He could run
Oh, he could run.
on his
Yeah.
hands.
So what he would do, and this haunted house was known for, is he would be laying on the ground, just like, I just got cut in half, and they'd have stuffed legs sitting there, like,
Yeah.
you know, bloody guts.
Obviously
in between.
severed legs.
Obviously, he's been split in half, and people think, oh, yeah, the person's buried or whatever.
His
They
legs
think it's
are
a
hidden.
visual effect, and then he gets up and starts chasing them, and it's this freaked the out of everyone that came across him because you're just not expecting that.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
this person that's like genuinely looks like they were cut in half, and then all of a sudden the half that's animated starts running after him.
Yeah.
And gold.
Yeah.
That guy better have been paid a lot of money from the haunted forest. That's what I think.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember I was the reason I was gonna bring up is like the stories like this. I know it's kind of silly, but like I used to have a friend that lived over on the next street over, and in between our houses there was a big field. There's now houses there, but there's a field that was probably 2 or 3 lots of size houses, you know, 3 house sizes. And I'd walk through there, and there's like a bike path and jumps, just like every field in American Fork had. Like kids would build jumps and go and play on it. But I was walking through there one day, and I swear this is like the weirdest thing, but I swear a bat was chasing me. A bat.
Yeah.
And I was probably sixth grade probably. So I'm over at Joseph's house. And I'm walking back, and I come through there, and I thought this bat was chasing me, and I booked it home. I mean, it's probably like a block from there, and I just ran so fast, and I couldn't even look behind me. Like when you really think something like that is happening,
You don't want to look.
you don't want to look, and you don't want to question it. You just go for it. But like, have you guys ever been scared of something like that, whether childhood or adulthood, where you're just like, I swear it's real?
A little bit. Did you have one?
Nothing comes to mind. I'm trying to think of. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of instances, but
So I went to school in Boston, and I don't remember why, but I was in Harvard Square at night riding my bike home. And Harvard Square, if you haven't been out there, is just kind of like in the middle of Harvard campus. There's like a square or whatever.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like a little like a little park and like restaurants around. It's kind of like I don't know, what's a Salt Lake equivalent?
A thingy.
A thingy. Being
Yeah.
at a place that's like called Trolley Square.
A thingy
something
place.
Like that. Yeah.
It's like a gathering of different businesses and people that hang out. Yeah.
Anyway, riding my bike through next to this park, and I notice like 20 feet above my head, like this light that's like just hovering, like directly parallel with me. And I'm like riding along, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And immediately I'm like, okay, I'm at Harvard. There's got to be some freaking kids doing
Some
their drones or something. And back then, I don't think drones were like, this is probably like 2009 or something. I don't know if drones were like as big as they are now, but
UFOs were. Though.
yeah, maybe there's UFOs. No, but you know what I just thought of that did legit freak me out?
Oh, you're going to change stories on us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mid-story.
Yeah.
That was the end of that story.
Yeah, I'd change
It
stories
freaked
too.
me out a little bit, and mostly just because of like how well it was tracking with me. Like it was like staying right above me, like my same momentum and everything. Like whoever was driving, whatever it was like, haha, let's kind of follow this guy on his bike. But something else that legitimately freaked me out this year. We were up at the property.
Oh,
Were you guys up
I
there?
was there with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're sitting there.
I thought it was the end.
I thought it was the end of the world. We are sitting up at the property, and all of a sudden, and it's nighttime.
Oh.
Stars are out. We see this trail of lights.
Uniform, militaristic. Is that a word?
Yeah. Militaristic
Lights.
looking alien floating
Alien.
freaking lights. Like in the sky.
Invasion, for sure. Uniform attack.
Like 20 lights, and they float across the sky in this perfect line. And then as they reach this specific point in the sky, they
In the
all-
middle of the sky,
Yeah,
mind
in the
you.
middle of the sky, they all just disappear. So I was freaked out.
No, I'm not joking. I turned to you guys and I'm like, I don't know if we have enough firearms to, but what's happening when the whole town turns into tomatoes or whatever? Like, how do we stop this alien race?
No, it was a bizarre feeling. I really that's where my mind went. I was like, well, there's something happening here. Now, someone quickly mentioned like, oh, it's the SpaceX satellites
Right.
that are flying over. And apparently the reason they disappear is the only reason you could see them, because even though it's dark here, they're actually up in the sun where they are. And so as they come over the horizon of the Earth, they disappear because the sun's no longer hitting them. But
That's way less interesting than
yeah,
dying
and aliens.
of
And aliens
But,
coming.
but apparently I was reading about it, and because astronomers have complained, they did something to them that they're not very visible anymore. I don't know what that means. Like if they turned them at an angle so they don't reflect as much, or I don't know. But
They painted them all black.
yeah. But astronomers are complaining that this sea of lights. I do remember feeling a little like upset afterwards. I'm like, okay, is the whole sky going to be filled with like satellites when
Wi-Fi
we're older?
satellites?
Yeah,
That'd
like
be weird.
it would be weird, but
Like on Wall-E.
These were not normal satellites, though. They were like
Oh, yeah.
satellite times 500.
yeah, they were bright and big.
Yeah. Yep.
Like low looking.
Yeah.
Like an airplane, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yep.
Yeah, if you go to online, look at you can see when when they're going to be viewable in your geographical location,
Right.
and there's never it'll tell you here are the next visibility. Here's the next time they'll come with high visibility, low or medium visibility, and there are almost none with high visibility anymore.
Yeah, I
Not
don't
anymore.
see any, and I think they must have turned them off or turned them sideways or done something. Which I was a little
They Tokyo
disappointed.
drift as they leave the atmosphere now, so that they don't flash the astronomers.
Yeah, because it's like a bittersweet thing. I'm like I'm annoyed that there are those bright lights in the sky, but at the same time I want to see them again,
Right.
and show everybody. But probably only like one more time. Like once I sit there with like everyone I know and we look at it, we'll probably be done with it and be like, all right, you can turn them off now,
Right.
so we can see the stars. But
Okay. I've thought of another story that
right.
freaked me out.
okay,
One of them's a little less interesting, but genuinely freaked me out more than anything. I worked at the Boy Scouts when I was 14 up in the High Uintas. And so when we would go up there would only be about 20 people that worked at the Boy Scouts, and there wasn't any actual Boy Scouts there that first night, or each week. We get like a busload of Boy Scouts that would stay for the week. But that first Sunday night to Monday, they wouldn't be there. And then the last night, they would also be gone. Anyways, so we have a meeting and it's dark, and I walk back to my tent by myself, and all of a sudden I look over and I see a shadowed, and I've walked this trail from the lodge to my tent so many times, and it's probably 120 yards. Like, it's not close, but it's a trail that I've walked so many times. I can walk it barefoot in the middle of the night. I don't even take a flashlight with me. I can just walk it, right? And it's a single person trail for people, single file. Anyway, so I walk over this little ridge and I come down and I look over to my left, and there's a perfect dome shaped object sitting out there, kind of in a clearing there's a lot of pine trees and stuff. Mm-hmm. There's a dome shaped object, and it's just black. Like, if it's a spaceship, which is exactly what I thought it was, they just shut the lights off. Okay. And it's probably sitting like 6 feet tall, 8 feet tall, and probably like 15 or 20 feet long, perfectly round dome. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And I'm getting chills. I'm getting chills again, because obviously when aliens come down, they just kill you. They don't talk to you. They don't like make contact. They don't ask you to take them to your leader. They just kill you. That's my logic. I'm freaked the hell out. And even I had a buddy that we shared a tent with, but I don't know where he was. He was behind me or in front of me. I just walked and I went in my tent. Somehow that was going to save me. And I just shut the flaps, and I'm like, I'm just going to bed. This is not okay. Freaked out. Whatever. My buddy came. I'm like, did you see that? He's like, no. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I went to sleep. Freaking out all night. Not sleeping very well. But I literally don't want to escape the canvas flaps, because then I'll die. So I go all night freaking out over this thing. The next morning I wake up and I come and I walk over the ridge, and it's light out by then, so I'm not as scared. I look down and it's a giant pile of trees that someone had cut down because they were building a new shower structure. There was a building that just held the showers for the boys, and they chopped down a whole bunch of trees and branches and piled them up, but it looked just like a dome. And I was so freaked out that turned out to be nothing. So
just some trees.
yeah.
It's amazing what your imagination can do in your head.
Well, the interesting,
you out like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the interesting thing is, like, you guys aren't scared by that story. Like, I fully duplicate that.
Yeah.
The listener's not scared by that story, but I'm scared.
Yeah.
Like, that's such an interesting thing. That's like a real personal thing. And like when you hear stories that scare lots of people, like The Ring, or, even what's the one, Edgar Allan Poe poem? Like, that genuinely is kind of a creepy story, right? With the raven.
Yeah.
But that's a gift that people have to be able to tell stories like that freak them out, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just find the phenomenon interesting that, like, even to this day, I get chills over thinking about this situation in my life, but everyone's like, okay, whatever.
Well, yeah, like even us talking about Geneva Steel, it's like people are probably like, wait, so you snuck into some place and it looked dark? And
Yeah.
yeah, it is hard to put yourself in there. And I was thinking about that too. Like, usually it seems like the most times I felt the most afraid are being in the dark outside, like alone or with few people, and something happens. Like, we even talked about it. If you haven't heard, check out the episode Grizzly Bear Underwear, where we talked about hearing that like roar.
That roar
while we
in
were
Yellowstone?
backpacking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like something about being in the dark. And I wonder if it's just because as our culture works, we're just not outside in the dark often.
Right.
Like, because our great ancestors had to be out all the time, hunting and, you know, sitting by a fire, and they had to hear noises constantly.
Yeah.
Were they just as, like, freaked out every time, or did they get used to it? You know, did they just live that way because of necessity? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about.
Yeah, now we have to get dressed up and ask for candy to be freaked out, apparently.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed, though, that like way more people decorate for Halloween than they used to?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And, like, insane. Like, their whole house is covered with blow-up things.
Yep.
And it's wild.
All I can think of is, where do you put that stuff all year round?
Yeah.
Waiting for October 1st.
Yep.
Like,
Storage unit.
yeah, you got a Halloween storage unit that just stores your Halloween stuff. But I don't know if it is down in Utah County, but up in Salt Lake, man, oh my gosh, there are insane places.
Yeah.
People build whole pirate ships in their yard, and
Yeah.
we went to this one place, like, we're looking for Christmas lights. I'm not joking. You know how you drive around looking
Yeah.
at Christmas lights with the kids? Yeah, we drive around looking at Halloween stuff now.
Yeah.
This one person probably has 70 clowns in their front yard, and they're freaky as hell, and some of them move, and you're like, I'm not coming here trick-or-treating. I don't care if you support the food bank. It's not happening.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that's something that's happened in the last few years.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think, actually, I do. I think it's because of Home Depot. I'm serious. My kids, like, it'll get close to Halloween. They'll be like, Dad, I want to go to Home Depot. Like, what?
They've
They,
made
they've
it.
got like a massive Halloween section with all that stuff in it.
They've made
that's
it really
true.
easy to decorate.
Yeah.
For sure.
I have another theory. Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, a very successful movie. All those kids that love that movie are grown-ass adults that now own their own house.
Yeah.
So you can decorate your house for Halloween as though it were Christmas.
Yeah.
And that's the end of my conspiracy on Halloween.
That's probably true. Well, we've taken you on a wild ride through murder and intrigue,
And asbestos.
breaking and entering.
Women being thrown into a well
Yeah.
and then crawling through your TV.
Oh, that's a weird one. So it's been a grand old Halloween time. So hopefully you have a great Halloween on Saturday for some silly reason, and because it's the Sabbath is the real reason on Sunday, right?
It is a day of rest.
Yeah.
It is the Sabbath, yes.
So be safe, have fun trick or treating, bribe your kids or play some kind of psychological game with them after they get candy,
Yep.
and have a good old time. And don't start singing Christmas songs until the day after Thanksgiving,
That's right.
right?
Or Phil will hunt you down
Yep,
and put you on mute.
exactly. Goodbye. Good night. Have a good one.
Good night. I love you.
Bye.
Me.
Ugh.